The Golden Dragon's meeting was in the back of their flagship restaurant, a huge, gaudy place, all gold leaf and cold light, the opposite of my warm little room. I wore Goro's wife's apron and my whale tooth, and I walked in alone, and I smiled at everyone, and I watched a room full of expensive people not know what to do with a giant in furs who smiled. Good. Confusion is a kind of advantage. My grandmother taught me that, usually about seals. The boss was a woman, elegant, ageless, a voice like warm oil. Madame Ray. She runs the Golden Dragon the way a spider runs a web, never rushing, always patient, always in the center. She poured me tea I didn't drink and complimented food she'd never eaten and explained, kindly, the way you'd explain to a child how things work in her district. Everyone pays. It keeps the peace. It's really for my own protection. I've heard predators purr before. I wasn't charmed, but I was impressed. She's very good at being terrible. I let her finish. Then I told her, politely, in my slow island way, the truth. The Iron Wok is not for sale. It doesn't pay the tax. And neither does anyone else in my alley. Not anymore. Because from now on, the alley is under my protection instead of hers. I said it kindly. I even smiled. But the whole room went cold, because nobody says that to Madame Ray. She just tilted her head, studied me a long moment, and smiled back. Oh, you're going to be interesting. That's the most dangerous thing anyone's ever said to me. Storms don't call you interesting. People who are about to try to break you do. I walked out unharmed. She's too smart to touch me in her own dining room, in front of witnesses, before she understands me. But I felt her eyes on my back the whole way out, measuring, filing, planning. Ray doesn't lose districts. She'll take her time. She'll learn me. And then she'll send exactly the right thing to break me. I didn't know yet what that thing would be, but walking home through the neon, I felt the storm shift from coming to here. The pressure was all the way down now. So I did what you do when the storms finally arrived. I went home and I cooked. And here's the strange, beautiful thing. The war didn't slow the restaurant. It filled it. Word moved. The giant who told the Golden Dragon no, and the whole neighborhood, quietly starved for someone to stand up, came to eat at the place that stood up. Solidarity tastes like broth, it turns out. The next night was the first full house. Every stool, a line out the door, Taki running like his feet were on fire, Goro laughing at the register, me and the wok and the flames and 40 hungry, happy faces. The syndicate wanted to isolate me. Instead, they packed my house. People are better than cartels think. Every time. In the middle of that full house, at the peak of everything I'd built, I felt the sensei question that names this episode land on me quietly, the way the real ones do. I got everything I wanted, the bigger world, the kitchen, the people. So who am I now that I have it? On the island, I knew exactly who I was, the hunter, the strong one, the one they send. Here, at the wok, in the noise and the warmth, I felt myself become someone new that the island never had a word for. Softer, fuller, more afraid, because now I had things to lose. Getting what you want changes you, Hiantu. I'm still finding out into what. That night, after close, exhausted and happy and afraid, I went up to the roof and did the dawn thing. Even though it was midnight, because some nights you need the quiet more than you need the sleep. I breathed, I let the full house and the syndicate and the joy and the fear all go still. And the presence came the way it had been coming clearer for weeks. Patient, old, warm. And for the first time, I turned toward it, fully, and I asked it the question you ask a teacher. What do I call you? It didn't answer in words. It never does. But a name rose up in the quiet, like a fish out of deep water. Old and right, and not mine. Like it had always been the name and I'd only just remembered it. Hiantu. My grandmother had a word like it, for the still teacher who lives in the breath. The one every hunter carries and most never meet. I'd met mine. So that's who you are, Hiantu, my sensei, the quiet one, the teacher in the breath. I've been talking to you this whole time and only now know your name. Feels right, somehow. The best teachers are quiet a long time before you're ready to hear them. From that night, the quiet had a name and a teacher's shape. Hiantu doesn't fight my fights. A sensei never does. Hiantu doesn't tell me what to do. Hiantu asks. In the stillness, between the fire and the fists, Hiantu hands me the questions I'm not brave enough to ask myself. Like tonight's. Who do you become when you get what you wanted? I don't have the whole answer, but I have a kitchen and a family and a war and a teacher in my breath. Whoever I'm becoming, I'm not becoming her alone. That's new too. That's everything. But peace on a rooftop doesn't stop a spider. While I was naming my sensei, Madame Ray was studying my full house from a distance and learning the thing that would shape the whole war. I couldn't be scared off, couldn't be bought, and couldn't be beaten by street thugs. So she stopped sending thugs. Goro saw it first. 3 nights after the full house, he noticed the chain restaurant on the corner had quietly changed. New staff, harder faces, and a new sign in the window that made his hands go cold. The Golden Dragon, opening a flagship directly across the alley from the Iron Wok. Ray wasn't going to break me with fists. She was going to try to break me at my own game. Food. It was a good move. I'll give Ray that. She's an artist of pressure, a giant flagship, endless money, cheap prices meant to bleed customers away, bright lights my little room couldn't match, and this stung. Genuinely good food. Not soul food, but skilled. Expensive. Loud. Everything Goro warned me about a shouting city that only listens to shouting, opening its biggest mouth right across from my whisper. Ray was betting she could starve the Iron Wok empty. Take my customers, take my money, take my neighborhood's courage, without ever throwing a punch. Smart. She underestimated one thing, though. She'd never tasted my broth. People who've tasted my broth don't leave for shiny. The first week of the food war was brutal. The flagship's opening deals pulled half my customers away. with novelty and cheap prices. My full house went half empty. Taki got scared, watching the money slow. I didn't. A hunter knows the difference between a full net and a good net. Ray was catching everyone, once, with shiny bait. I was catching the same 40 people, every night, forever, with something they couldn't get across the alley. To be known. Remembered. Fed like they mattered. You can't out-cheap a cartel. So I didn't try. I went the other way. I got warmer. I gave more, not less. Bigger portions I couldn't quite afford. Remembered every kid's name. Kept the door open late for night shift workers with nowhere warm to go. Fed anyone who was truly hungry, whether they could pay or not. Quietly, so it didn't embarrass them. The flagship was a transaction. The Iron Wok was a home. And slowly, slower than I'd have liked, slow enough to scare Taki Gray, the tide turned. The novelty of shiny wears off. Being known never does. My 40 came back, then brought friends. You can't buy what I was selling. Ray will learn that. It'll cost her. It always costs the spider to learn that. But Ray doesn't lose gracefully, and she doesn't lose slowly, without changing tactics. When the food war started tilting my way, when the shiny flagship couldn't kill the warm whisper, she went back to what the golden dragon really is underneath the gold leaf. Muscle. The polite phase was over. I could feel it the way I feel the wind change before a squall. The envelope, the meeting, the flagship, those were her asking. Now she was going to stop asking. And Hiantu, in the quiet that night, asked me the only question that mattered. Not, can you win a fight, but are you ready to be the kind of person a whole neighborhood hides behind? I breathed. I said yes. It came 2 nights later. Closing time. A dozen of them this time. Not the 5 street enforcers from before, but syndicate muscle, organized, carrying pipes and bats, walking down the alley toward the Iron Wok with the clear intent to wreck it. To make the example Ray had promised, Goro reached for his little cleaver. Taki stepped in front of his own fear. The neighborhood's lights started going dark up the alley as frightened shopkeepers pulled their shutters, hoping the storm would pass them by. And I untied my apron, folded it, set it on the counter. You don't fight in a gift. Rolled my sleeves, and stepped out into the alley to meet 12 men. Alone. Smiling. Ready. 12 is different from 5, I want to be honest about that. 5 I can play with. 12 organized men with weapons in a narrow alley is a real fight. And real fights get people hurt. And the people I was most afraid of getting hurt were behind me. In the doorway, holding a soup ladle and an old cleaver. So this fight wasn't about winning. It was about keeping every one of them from getting past me to the kitchen. To Goro. To Taki. A wall. That's all I had to be. An immovable wall in a doorway, for as long as it took. I've stood against the sea, Hiantu. 12 men are not the sea. I set my feet, I breathed, and I let them come. I'll give you the shape of it and finish it next time. Because it's the biggest kitchen fight yet, and it deserves room. But here's how it began, and it tells you everything. The first man swung a bat at Goro's precious lit lantern, the little light that says the Iron Wok is open, is home, is here. And I caught the bat in my bare hand, mid-swing, without letting the lantern so much as flicker. Held it there, looked at him over the steady flame, and said the only thing I had to say. "We're open. You'll want to order something or leave." He tried to pull the bat back. It didn't move. My grip is not a thing you pull a bat out of, and I watched 12 men do the same math the 5 did, only slower, because there were more of them and math is harder in a crowd. One of them, in the back, actually said it out loud, the thing they were all thinking. "Is that the one who beat 5 of us with a wok lid?" And I smiled at him, warm and genuine, and said, "It was a ladle, mostly. Would you like to see the wok?" Then I picked up the wok. We'll pick up mid-swing next time. For now, I'll just tell you. I fought 12 men in an alley to protect a bowl of soup and 2 people I love. And somewhere in the middle of it, in the roar and the ring of iron, the quiet was there too. Hiantu. Steady in my breath the whole time, keeping me level, keeping me kind even at full power. That's the thing I'm still learning to explain. The fighting and the stillness aren't opposites for me anymore. They're one motion. Cook, fight, breathe, all the same hand. My grandmother would understand. She'd just call it letting the sea do it. The sea did a lot of it that night. I'll tell you how it ends. At least. No cliffhanger on the outcome, just on the how. We won. The alley held. The Iron Wok stayed lit. Goro's lantern never went out. Not one of my family got touched. But it cost me. I took hits I let land to keep them off the kitchen. I was bruised and bleeding a little by the end. And 12 men limped back to Madame Ray to tell her that fists don't work either. And I knew, wiping blood from my lip in my own doorway with my whole terrified neighborhood peeking out from behind their shutters, I knew this was just the second move in a long game. Ray had learned fists don't work. She'd send something worse. She'd send someone who could actually fight. That night I couldn't sleep, so I went to the roof and sat with Hiantu. Bruised, tired, victorious, afraid. And I asked my sensei the thing I was really afraid of. Not, can I keep winning these fights? I can. The real fear? Who am I becoming, if this is my life now? A cook who fights? A fighter who cooks? Every night bracing for the next attack? I got what I wanted. The kitchen, the family, the meaning. And getting it made me a target, and being a target is making me harder. Hiantu didn't answer that one. Some questions a sensei just lets you carry. I carried it up the stairs to bed. I'm still carrying it. Maybe I always will. Sensei question 5. Who do you become when you finally get what you wanted? I wanted a bigger world, a kitchen, a place that's mine. I got all 3. And they turned me into someone who stands in doorways and bleeds a little so other people can sleep. I don't know yet if that's who I hoped I'd become, but I know it's who my neighborhood needs. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe you become whoever the people you love need you to be. Tell me who you're becoming, Hiantu. Breathe with me. I'll see you in the quiet. And next time, the fight, in full. And after it, Ray finally sends the one who can actually hurt me.